Welcome to this space, my friend. I am glad you found your way here. If you've been feeling like you're running in place, like the world is moving forward, while you remain anchored to a version of yourself you no longer recognize, then you are exactly where you need to be. We are going to embark on a journey together, a journey not of outward movement, but of inward transformation. Before we dive into the philosophy that will unlock the chains holding you back, I want to ask you to do something for yourself. If you find value in these words, if they resonate with that quiet voice inside you that knows you were meant for more, please hit that like button and subscribe to The Elevated Within. Join our circle. By doing so, you're not just supporting a channel. You're signaling to your own mind that you are ready to prioritize your growth. Let's talk about being stuck. It is a heavy word, isn't it? It feels like being caught in thick, cold mud. You look around and see others seemingly gliding across the surface of life, while every step you take feels like a monumental effort that yields no ground. You look at the economy, you look at your boss, you look at your upbringing, or perhaps you look at the sheer bad luck that seems to follow you like a shadow. You've been told that if the circumstances would just shift, if the wind would just blow from a different direction, then you would finally begin to move. But I am here to tell you a truth that is both the most frightening and the most liberating thing you will ever hear. It is not the wind that determines your destination. It is the set of your sail. This is the core of the philosophy taught by my mentor in spirit, Jim Rohn. He was a man who understood the mechanics of the human soul better than perhaps anyone of our era. In his seminal work, The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle, he outlines a blueprint for a life lived with intention. And it all begins with the first piece. Philosophy. Your philosophy is the way you think. It is the filter through which you process the world. Most people think their life is a result of what is happening out there. They blame the government, they blame the interest rates, they blame the weather, or they blame the algorithm. But Jim Rohn taught us that the same wind blows on us all. The wind of disaster, the wind of opportunity, the wind of change. It blows on the rich and the poor, the successful and the struggling. The difference in where people land 5 years from now has nothing to do with the wind and everything to do with how they set their sail. To get unstuck, you must first stop looking at the wind and start looking at your own hands on the tiller. You must embrace the philosophy of total, radical responsibility. This is the moment you stop being a passenger in your own life and start being the captain. Responsibility is power. If you are the reason you are stuck, then you are also the only person who can get you moving. If the reason you are stuck is out there, if it's the economy or your ex or your genes, then you are a victim. And a victim is, by definition, powerless. You are waiting for the world to be nice to you before you can succeed. And I hate to tell you this, my friend, but the world is not designed to be nice. The world is designed to be a classroom. Jim Rohn used to say, "For things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better." It sounds so simple, almost too simple to be profound. Yet it is the wall that most people crash into and never climb over. They want a better life, but they want to remain the same person. They want the harvest without changing the seed. In The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle, the very first piece is your personal philosophy. This is the foundation. If your philosophy is flawed, if you believe that it's not what you know, it's who you know, or that rich people are just lucky, then your sail is set to catch the winds of resentment and failure. You will drift into the rocky shores of mediocrity because your mind isn't looking for the path forward. It's looking for an excuse to stay where it is. Getting unstuck requires a mental house cleaning. You have to examine the ideas you've been carrying around since you were young. Are those ideas serving you, or are they the very anchors keeping you in the mud? You see, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. If you are stuck, it is likely because your internal map of the world is outdated. Jim Rohn's teachings emphasize that we are the only creatures on Earth that can totally change the course of our lives. An alligator can't decide to be a bird. A tree can't decide to move to a more fertile field. But you can change your mind. You can change your habits. You can change your location. You can change your philosophy. Stagnation is often just a lack of clarity. We are stuck because we don't know where we want to go, so we let the wind take us nowhere. But once you define your destination, and once you accept that you are the one responsible for getting there, the mud starts to lose its grip. You start to feel the tension in the sail. You start to feel the power of the wind working for you instead of against you. Now that we have established the philosophy, the set of the sail, we must address the actual movement of the ship. You can have the most magnificent sail in the harbor, perfectly angled to catch the morning breeze, but if the anchor is still buried in the seabed, you are going to stay exactly where you are. In the journey of the elevated, the anchor is almost always a lack of discipline. We get stuck not because of a single catastrophic event, but because of the slow, quiet accumulation of neglect. Jim Rohn provided us with perhaps the most profound definition of success and failure ever spoken. He said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day." Moisi, think about the weight of that. It strips away the mystery of why some people soar while others sink. It removes the luck factor that so many use as a crutch to explain away their stagnation. Failure is not a falling off a cliff. It's not a sudden, explosive ending. Failure is the subtle daily choice to not do the things you know you should do. It is the decision to eat the junk instead of the fuel. It is the decision to sleep that extra hour instead of reading that chapter in The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle. It is the decision to keep your mouth shut when you should speak up, or to speak up when you should listen. These are errors in judgment. Taken individually, they seem harmless. One day of procrastination won't destroy your career. But that is the trap. Because it doesn't kill you today, you think it's safe to do again tomorrow. And tomorrow, you make the same error in judgment. By the end of 5 years, those errors have compounded into a lifestyle of mediocrity. You wake up and realize you are stuck, and you wonder how it happened. You look for a big reason. But there is no big reason. There is only a mountain of small, neglected duties. Getting unstuck requires the courage to face this reality. It requires you to look at your daily routine and identify the ripples of neglect. Jim Rohn taught us that everything affects everything else. You cannot be disciplined in one area of your life and totally chaotic in another without the chaos eventually bleeding into the discipline. If you are lazy with your health, it will eventually affect your confidence. If you are lazy with your finances, it will eventually affect your peace of mind. To get the life moving again, you must start the daily ripples of discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It is the actual physical labor of turning a thought into a reality. And the secret to discipline is that it doesn't have to be grand. In fact, if it is too grand, it usually fails. The ego wants to make a massive change. The ego wants to go from never exercising to running a marathon tomorrow. But the elevated mind knows that the ego is a liar. The ego wants the glory of the finish line without the boredom of the training. To get unstuck, you must embrace the boring magic of small wins. You must find the disciplines that are so simple they are easy to do, but also just as easy not to do. That is the Rohn mantra. Easy to do, easy not to do. It is easy to walk around the block for 15 minutes. It is also easy not to. It is easy to save 10% of what you earn. It is also easy not to. It is easy to write 1 page of your book. It is also easy not to. The reason people stay stuck is that they overlook the easy to do because they don't see the immediate result. But the universe works on the law of sowing and reaping. When you plant a seed, you don't see a tree the next day. You see nothing. But if you have the discipline to water that ground every single day, eventually, the miracle happens. In The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle, Jim Rohn highlights activity as the third piece. After you have the philosophy and the attitude, you must have the activity. You can think right and feel right, but if you don't do right, you will still be hungry at harvest time. Activity is the labor of the soul. It is the process of putting your philosophy to the test. If you are stuck, it is likely because you have stopped moving. Your activity has become a series of loops, the same thoughts, the same conversations, the same distractions. You are like a car with its wheels spinning in the mud. The more you rev the engine without shifting gears, the deeper you sink. To get out, you need traction. Traction comes from small, disciplined steps. I want you to identify 3 small disciplines today. Not 10, not 20, just 3. Things that are so simple you have no excuse not to do them. Perhaps it's drinking more water. Perhaps it's reading 5 pages of a book that challenges you. Perhaps it's making 1 extra phone call for your business. Whatever they are, commit to them with a religious fervor. Why? Because these small wins start to rewrite the story you tell yourself. Every time you complete a small discipline, you are casting a vote for a different identity. You are saying, I am a person who moves. I am a person who is disciplined. Even the most skilled captain with the sturdiest vessel cannot ignore the current of the ocean in which they swim. This is the third piece of the puzzle Jim Rohn laid out for us. Association. You can be doing everything right, thinking the right thoughts, practicing the daily disciplines, and still find yourself stuck because you are swimming against a social current that is stronger than your individual will. If you want to understand why you are where you are, you must look at your environment. You must look at the people you have invited into the inner sanctum of your life. Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." We are tribal creatures. We are biologically wired to adapt to the norms, the language, the attitudes, and the expectations of our pack. If your pack is stuck in the mud, if they spend their time complaining about the wind instead of setting their sails, it is only a matter of time before you start doing the same. In the 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle, Rohn describes the power of influence as subtle. It doesn't hit you like a hammer. It's like a light dusting of snow. 1 flake doesn't matter, but stay out in it long enough, and you're buried. The people around you are constantly dusting you with their philosophy. They are whispering their limitations into your ear. To get unstuck, you must perform a ruthless audit of your associations. Ask yourself, who am I spending time with? What are they doing to me? And, is that okay? Be honest with yourself. Look at your 5 people. Do they challenge you to be better, or do they give you permission to stay mediocre? Do they celebrate your growth, or do they pull you back down? This is social gravity. Just as the earth pulls everything toward its center, a stagnant social circle will pull any rising member back down. They don't do it because they are evil. They do it because your growth highlights their own stagnation. Your movement makes them feel uncomfortable about their stillness. If you find that your associations are keeping you stuck, Rohn offers 3 strategies: disassociation, limited association, and expanded association. Disassociation is the hardest, the realization that some people can no longer walk the path with you. If you are committed to the elevated life, you cannot spend your nights with people who are committed to self-destruction. Then there is limited association. You don't have to cut everyone out, but you must limit the time you spend with them and the influence you allow them to have. You can spend 5 minutes with some people, but not 5 hours. Finally, there is expanded association. This is how you get unstuck quickly. Find people who are already where you want to be. Read their books, like The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle, and let their philosophy mingle with yours. Association isn't just about people. It's about your total environment. It's about the mental garden. Your mind is like a fertile field. It doesn't care what you plant. It will grow whatever you put into it. The problem is that most people don't plant anything at all. They just let the wind blow whatever weeds are floating around the culture into their garden. They spend their days consuming mental junk food, the news, the gossip, the endless scroll. Jim Rohn's command was simple: stand guard at the door of your mind. You must become a vigilant protector of your internal dialogue. To get unstuck, you must create an environment that makes growth inevitable. We have adjusted the sail, we have begun the daily labor of discipline, and we have curated the garden of our associations. But now, we come to the final, most architecturally significant piece of the puzzle: the design of a better future. Movement without a destination is just wandering, and wandering is how we find ourselves back in the mud. To get unstuck and stay unstuck, you must have a vision of the future that is so vivid, so compelling, and so magnetic that it literally pulls you out of bed in the morning. Jim Rohn taught us that there are 2 ways to face the future. You can face it with apprehension, or you can face it with anticipation. Most people face the future with apprehension because they haven't designed it. They are simply waiting to see what happens. They are waiting for the wind to blow. But the elevated life is a designed life. Results and lifestyle are the natural outcomes of the first 3 pieces. But they don't happen by accident. You must become the architect of your own destiny. Think about the concept of the pull. Most people try to push themselves towards success, but willpower is a finite resource. It runs out. The secret to lasting movement is not to push yourself, but to be pulled by a future that is more attractive than your present. If your goals are big enough, the how-to becomes easy. Jim Rohn used to say, if you have enough reasons, you can do the most incredible things. What are your reasons? Is it for your family? Is it for your legacy? If your only reason is to make more money, you will stay stuck. Money is a result, not a reason. You need reasons that touch your soul. To design this future, you need a map. And in the philosophy of the elevated, that map is your personal library. Jim Rohn was adamant about this. Income seldom exceeds personal development. If you want your life to grow, you must grow, and the fastest way to grow is to stand on the shoulders of giants. Your personal library should be your most prized possession. If you are stuck, it is likely because you have stopped learning. Open a book. Start with 10 pages a day, just 10. It is easy to do, and it is easy not to do. But over a year, those 10 pages a day become the equivalent of 20 life-changing books. Imagine the set of your sail after consuming 20 masterpieces of wisdom. Now, I want to share with you the ultimate Rohn realization. It is the truth that shatters every excuse and dissolves every anchor. It is the realization that you are not a tree. If a tree is planted in poor soil, it has no choice. It is a victim of its geography. But you are not a tree. If you don't like where you are, move. If you don't like your job, change it. If you don't like your health, transform it. You have the divine gift of agency. You are the only creature on this planet that can totally remodel its own existence. The feeling of being stuck is an illusion. It is a mental cage that you have built with your own thoughts. The door is not locked. It never was. You have simply been convinced that you are a tree, rooted in the mud of your past. But the moment you decide to set a new goal, the moment you decide to pick up a new book, the moment you decide to change the set of your sail, the roots vanish. You are free. The design of your future starts with a pen and a piece of paper. Jim Rohn encouraged us to be serious students of our own lives. Write down your goals. Write down your whys. Write down the disciplines you will practice. Write down the associations you will seek. This document is the blueprint for your elevation. It is the contract you sign with your future self. You are standing at the threshold of a new season. The winter of your stagnation is over. The spring of opportunity is here. But the spring is only valuable to those who have a design. Don't let this spring pass you by while you are still complaining about the winter. The wind is blowing. The sun is rising. The horizon is waiting. You have the teachings of Jim Rohn. You have the wisdom of the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle. You have the inner spark of the elevated. There is nothing left to wait for. There is no perfect time. There is only now. I want to thank you for walking this path with me. If these words have stirred something within you, if they have given you the clarity to see the shore, then I have fulfilled my purpose for today. Before you go, please remember to like this video and subscribe to The Elevated Within. Or share this with someone you know who is still convinced they are a tree. Let's help them find their wings. Go now, set your sail, practice your disciplines, guard your mind, and design a life that is so magnificent it leaves the mud behind forever. I will see you at the horizon. Goodbye for now, my friend. Stay elevated.